Strategy with silicon. Block by block, the future's won. Building dreams with every slide. Welcome to the AI ride. AI's here to scale the show. Business minds, it's time to grow. From machines to human touch, innovation starts with us. Electric home, information highway homes. Morgan leads us through the maze. Digital dawn, our world ablaze. Strategy with silicon. Block by block, the future's won. Building dreams with every slide. Welcome to the AI ride.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Thanks for joining our webinar and talk series. I hope you can hear me well. And thanks for joining this webinar number 3 on AI. We are going to see use cases today. So let me get this started. I would like to introduce ourselves. We are Scaling Capital. I am the managing partner of Scaling Capital. My name is Marcelo. We are a consultancy company based in Denmark, but operating globally with international customers in various industries. What we do? Our expertise is in supporting our clients, increasing their profit, revenue, and market share. That's our bottom line. And we, of course, use sustainable strategies and quite a lot of marketing and operations strategies as well. We are very much human-centered, although this words are quite overhyped nowadays. We do mean it. We really go hand in hand with our customers, and we work together. It's a partnership that we aim to provide them outstanding consultancy services and at the same time outstanding quality of service. All right, so let's look into the webinar and talk series agenda. So for those joining today first time, important to let you know that we had a webinar number 1 in the AI series about the advantages of AI in business. It happened last November. And we also had the webinar number 2 in December. But if you missed this ones, worry not, because we do have the recordings available. And if you like, just drop an email and we'll send you the links. No problem. So today we have the webinar number 3, case studies, SMART KPIs with AI. And we will have the webinar number 4 in the series by the end of the month. Of course, we'll share the invitations on LinkedIn, and we'll probably send you an email with the iCalendar and the bridge in due time. All right. So I wanted to introduce you to our team tonight. So this is Morgan, our speaker, and that's me, Marcelo. And we have also Eleni, Giorgio, and David here to support you throughout this webinar. And I wanted to also invite you to don't be shy. Morgan's going to take us through quite important concepts and cases tonight. So use the chat box, let your questions there, and we'll have a question and answer session later on. We'll try to address all the questions, okay? So I wanted to introduce you to Morgan Fitzgibbon, my dear partner and friend and mentor. And Morgan is the speaker of our webinar tonight. He's bringing more than 30 years of experience in telecom industry with extensive experience in providing support to C-level executives and their companies going through business transformation. And he brings deep and wide expertise in AI and its applications, LLMs for industry innovation. Morgan, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Marcelo, and hello, everybody, and welcome to this evening's webinar about case studies for SMART KPIs for both classical AI and machine learning and generative AI. Okay. So this is webinar 3 in this series, and I'm going to talk to you this evening about some case studies about SMART KPIs in business strategy using classical AI, machine learning, and Gen AI, and talk about the tools that support both classes of machine learning to give some color on what we have been discussing thus far. Okay, so let's recap webinar number 1, okay? So what we talked about in webinar 1 is, okay, so from the top down on the business strategy, what are the objectives of the business? All right, is it to increase revenue, reduce costs? Is it to increase customer engagement? And basically to measure the performance of those objectives, and also not forgetting brand empowerment and equity. So to measure the performance against those objectives, we adopt KPIs, and in particular, SMART KPIs. Okay, so I'll just go back up one here. So we talked about in webinar 1, we talked about KPIs and what the challenges with KPIs. And then we introduced the concept of what SMART KPIs are, which are enabled by AI to get to address those challenges to meet our goal. Okay, so that's what we talked about in webinar number 1. Okay, in webinar number 2, then we introduced a concept of 4 pillars in our AI business strategy. Okay. And so we talked about the strategy framework, which is split between strategy formulation, basically what is the AI vision, as we just spoke about. And then in the long term, we spoke about what is the long-term value at scale, where we have our first use case and we want to scale it to end use cases and reach our end goal in the long term. That's what we want to achieve, okay? And then the other part of the framework is how to get there was the strategy execution, okay? Basically, how do you go from start to zero when you adopt AI practices and get to your first use case? How do you select your first use case? How do you prioritize your use case based on the business impact and feasibility? What is the platform architecture, skills, culture, organizational changes and integration of existing processes that you need to consider? And when you start considering that, then you have to take it into the immediate risks for adopting AI. What is the responsible AI assess and mitigate risks, governance models, distrust explainable AI, and data quality and availability. And that is ongoing to the long term when you have the long term value of your AI strategy. When you start for your first use case and you scale it to your end use cases, you need to factor in all those risks as your business grows with AI adoption. Okay, so that's what we talked about in webinar number 2. Okay. So today we're taking those concepts and we're going to add, so that's the framework or the skeleton. So we're going to add some weight and some color based on those concepts. So today I'm going to talk about 2 case studies for the SMART KPIs, one based on classical AI machine learning and one on generative AI. Okay. So in the strategy execution, okay, we'll basically start from 0 and we want to select our first use case. and with priority use case based in business impact and feasibility. Okay. And then, as we said earlier, what's the objective of the business and what's the KPI we want to generate? Okay. So there are two types of that we're talking about, right? So on the left-hand side, where you see this logo here, we're talking about classical AI machine learning, okay? So for that is a case of, okay, for machine learning, what is that? Okay, it's a subset of artificial intelligence, AI, that focuses on developing systems capable of learning and improving from experience without being explicitly programmed. Instead of relying on predefined rules, machine learning algorithms analyze data, identify patterns, and make predictions or decisions based on data. I'm going to show there are some key characteristics. Okay, so for this type of AI is data driven. Machine learning relies heavily on large data sets to train models and derive insights. Dynamic learning models improve performance as more data becomes available. And probabilistic and versatile outputs are often based on probabilities and may involve some level of uncertainty. And versatility talks about can handle structured tables and unstructured data. Okay. And then types of machine learning briefly can be broken down to supervised learning, where the model is trained on label data. Examples of predicting house prices span email detection. Common algorithms be linear regression, decision trees, neural networks. And then unsupervised learning, the models find hidden patterns in unlabeled data. Examples there be customer segmentation, anomaly detection, common algorithms, clustering k-means, dimensionality reduction. Then reinforcement learning. This is a hot topic at the moment. The model learns by interacting with an environment and receiving feedback, rewards, and punishment. Based on human nature of like how a baby learns. Okay, an example, robotics and game AI. And then the last one is semi-supervised learning, combines labeled and unlabeled data for training, useful when labeled data is expensive or time consuming. So that's just briefly what I'm talking about when I talk about classical AI machine learning. Okay, and then on the right-hand side, we have a little friend here, a chatbot, and this is our GenAI large language model. Okay, so GenAI briefly refers to advanced AI systems that can generate new human-like content, such as text, images, music, or code. Based on input prompts, large language models are a specific subset of generative AI to understand and produce natural language. These models are trained on massive amounts of text to predict and generate coherent responses, perform tasks, or even engage in creative work. And the key features of GenAI LLM, okay, the first one is context understanding. LLMs can interpret and generate contextual relevant text. The second one is generative capability, can create original content, including essays, reports, creative writing, dialogues. Now, some people are using it for generating code as well. Adaptable, can be fine-tuned for specific applications, industries, or domains. And scale, LLMs like GPT-4 or similar systems are trained on billions or even trillions of parameters, enabling them to handle diverse tasks. Okay. So, and then down below, how generative AI LLMs work. Okay, training. LLMs are trained in large amounts of corpus, what we call corpus data, a big body of work, to using deep learning, typically employing transformer architectures. Prompting and generation. Prompting, users provide input prompts, explain climate change in simple terms. For example, you prompt your chat GPT with that. And we'll talk more about that later on. And then generation, the model predicts and generates the next word token based on context. Okay. And then moving on. All right. So to classical AI machine learning. Okay. So here we're going to introduce some use cases. Okay. We'll start off with top level use case, and then we'll dig a bit deeper. Okay. So in the next couple of slides, we'll cover the case studies using SMART KPIs, using classical machine learning. highlighted by this logo. So in the slides we see what this logo means. We're talking about classical AI machine learning. So the first one, like CBS television broadcasting company in the US, right? So what challenges do they have? Is one to investigate if AI could improve performance KPIs. So data scientists and an AI team took 50 years of data and asked the question if they have the correct KPIs for predicting the success of TV pilots or not. So the outcome was improved performance of their existing KPIs and created new SMART KPIs to complement the existing KPIs to predict the success of future TV pilots, helping CBS to cut or promote TV programs fast, reducing costs and gaining insight into customer preferences, thereby boosting customer experience as well. The next one, Tokopedia. Tokopedia is an Indonesian e-commerce company and has a challenge of managing 1.8 billion products per day from 14 million merchants, over 85 new startups. Okay, so Tokopedia realized that their stock management was not running efficiently, impacting fulfillment, matching orders with stock for customers, thereby impacting customer satisfaction and volume of sales. Solution was to use AI data analysis scoring and KPI merchant quality, and the outcome was customer service improvement. Fulfillment was managed appropriately and just in time for the customer orders to merchants matching and delivering the orders in time, leading to marketplace effectiveness. Okay, and benefit overall to all parties. It was a win for the customer, win for the merchant, and win for Tokopedia. So I will dig a bit deeper into this use case in a minute to give you a flavor of how we tackle that. Okay, just cover other use cases that we looked at is Maersk. So Maersk is a Danish shipping and logistics company who had the challenge to measure throughput and network productivity of their 65 worldwide assets to compare the performance management of two scenarios. And the two scenarios were which one was more effective. So one scenario was the physical loading and unloading of ships and trucks versus operation management, loading processes versus relative departure. Basically, they want to identify where the bottlenecks are, is it scenario one, scenario two. So the solution there was to drive two AI-driven models for scenario one and two and analyze across the value chain. Scenario two was the key one, resulting in less loading and reduced bottlenecks. Okay, and the outcome was increased efficiency, aligned performance, and increased customer satisfaction with reliable deliveries. On the next page then, Google Analytics, in particular Google Ads, okay, wanted to KPIs to monitor and optimize digital channel impressions where human analysts failed to improve performance. So here is that they had video ads and they wanted to see if the customers were watching just part of the ad or the full or all the ad. So they couldn't do this in a traditional way with human analytics. So the solution here was to use an AI algorithm using unsupervised learning classification tree to identify connections and correlations. And the outcome here was an AI SMART KPI to monitor the percentage of impressions using user views and who saw the full ad. And they came up with a unique KPI and identified a threshold for success, resulting in over 6 months of performance and plus 30 points, this is a real breakthrough with these smart KPIs versus traditional manual AI KPIs. So that's very impressive performance there. And then the last one was DBS Bank in Singapore. The banking and financial service corporation. They had a challenge of its enterprise strategy to remove silos across the organization to enable more collaboration. So that's something that we brought up in webinar number 1 about siloed corporations, breaking down the silos and having fragmented data. And here's a use case where they saw this as well. And by breaking down the silos and introducing cross-organization function of customer focus, service, and profitability using the department KPIs over 3 years of journey. They led to new customer experience, data profit, and risk taking. And the outcome here was to drive at scale. And he couldn't do this with traditional analytics. You have to do this with AI machine learning because of the amount of data that's generated right across the organization. Okay. So as I said, what we're going to do is we're going to dig a bit deeper now in the second use case. Okay. And inside, to start here, we're going to look inside the algorithms that make KPIs smarter, right? So the goal here is come up with a smart KPI that's more reliable, dynamic, a leading indicator of strategic outcomes. So how do you do that? So in practice, developing smart KPIs require categorizing variables into 3 distinct types. Okay, so you have the outcome, right? The strategic outcome variable. And then you have inputs. You have input operational drivers, and then you have input to contextual factor, right? And the overall AI technique here, the objective is to understand the causal relationship between operational drivers and contextual factors on the one hand, a trade-off that, and strategic outcomes on the other, leading to an enhanced KPI or a new KPI. Okay, so just digging a bit deeper, okay, so when we talk about strategic outcome variables, what are we talking about? We're talking about well-known overreaching targets such as revenue or profit, okay? And then on the operational drivers, we're talking about variables that might impact the strategic outcome, right? Such as pricing, consumer reviews, or website traffic, okay? And if you look at their variables that really we could control inside the organization, and then on the other side, you have contextual factor, you have external factors beyond a company's control, typically measured or tracked through consumer spending forecasts, intercounty freight, or government regulation. So you have inside the organization, outside the organization, and how does that affect the overall strategic outcome, okay? So what we do then is looking at this graphically, what you have is the inputs at the bottom, okay? And then you have at the top, you have the strategic outcome. So the input, operation drivers, fill rates, number of products offered, okay? And then on the right-hand side, the other input is contextual factor, locations, numbers of searches, and demand, okay? Okay, so the smart KPI in the center, okay, that weighs the causal relationship between operational drivers and contextual factors, okay? So that's where the machine learning algorithm kicks in, and there's a trade-off and there's a weighting between both of the inputs, okay, and the training, okay? So and deriving the strategic outcome. So where the strategic outcome leads to improved buyer-seller matching market, okay? And what the goal here is to improve buyer-seller matching market, and the insights to the merchant's customer satisfaction net promoter score are the derived points of those trade-offs, okay, to reach that goal of strategic outcome, okay. And as we saw in the first webinar, is that an emotional net promoter score, which is the percentage promoters minus detractors, is an emotional sentiment, okay, of customer experience. And for a +7% improvement of net promoter score is highly correlated to business growth of +1%, okay? And we back that up by London School of Business, okay? So that is kind of at the top level what we're trying to achieve with smart KPIs, a trade-off between input that we are in control of versus outside, with the overall objective is to come up with a smart KPI to improve the buyer-seller matching, leading to better customer experience, and then a win for the customer, a win for Tokopedia, and a win for the merchants as well, okay? So that's a straightforward example there, right? So then, like, it's all about the benefits of SMART KPIs to organizations, right? So overall, stronger alignment increases collaboration, better forecast, and more efficiency. So this is what MIT Sloan Management Review have seen as well with SMART KPIs, which are enabled by AI. So you have incentive structures in line with objectives, okay? So over 5 times more likely that organization using SMART KPIs versus organizations using traditional KPIs. So that's the impact, okay? Increased collaboration between employees using SMART KPIs, okay? Nearly 4 times more than organizations that do not use AI and to create their KPIs, and more effective at predictions of future performances. Okay, and as you saw on the previous slide, by improving customer experience and net promoter score of 7%, there is immediate impact on the business outcome. Okay. And the next one is greater financial benefit, over 3 times more than organizations that do not use AI to generate their SMART KPIs. The last one then is greater efficiency, and more organization as they adopt AI and go more efficient and automated process versus organizations that don't. Right. So that's kind of briefly overall view of SMART KPIs and why AI adoption is has a big impact versus organizations that don't adopt AI. Okay, so then what were the machine learning tools that we used to create those smart predictive KPIs? Okay, so here we have 10 of the best machine learning tools with their features pricing. These tools are widely used in industry and academia for various machine learning tasks. Okay, so on the next page, go a bit deeper, right? So the first one, TensorFlow, open source machine learning tool, flexible, ideal for crafting diverse models, and simple to use with abundant resources and user-friendly interface. It simplifies data comprehension. So the pros of TensorFlow: lots of publications and help, good for one-of-a-kind modeling. And what you'll see here, you'll see open source tools, and they're good for starting off, adopting your first use case. But as your organization scales, and you see the limitations of some of these tools. Okay, so PyTorch is another one as user-friendly open source tool, and it's good for starting off and easy to try out ideas. But as you scale and get to more complicated projects, it's not as good. Okay. Scikit-learn machine learning tools for pattern recognition and prediction. Again, open source, pros, easy for everyday tasks, lots of tools for pattern recognition, and not great for complex tasks, and doesn't work as well for deep learning. Keras easily create models for quick experiments, especially for images or words. Again, pros, easy to build models, good for images and words, and not as good for detailed projects. Okay. And last one on this page is DMC XGBoost, excels in analyzing tabular data, great at working with tables, finds patterns well, not as good for other types of data. You need a lot of computer power for big tasks. On the next page, okay, Spark, Apache Spark, powerful tools designed for handling massive data sets, ideal for large-scale projects with extensive data. Pros, good for lots of data, works well with other Spark tools, a bit hard for beginners, so needs a big computer to work best. Then we're on to the hyperscalers, Azure machine learning. So as you get to the bigger projects and bigger data sets, machine learning in the cloud, it's a simple, user-friendly, and works well for many different projects, making machine learning accessible and efficient in the cloud. Pros, easy to use in the cloud, good for many different projects. And cons, costs a lot of money for big projects, but you need to learn about the cloud as well. Okay. And Google platform, Strong tool for using machine learning on the Google Cloud. Great for big projects. Easily works with other Google tools. Provides detailed stats and simple functions. Again, pros. These tools then are good for big projects in the cloud. Works well with other Google tools. Costs a lot of money, and need to know Google Cloud quite well. H2O.ai uses machine learning easily. Is good for many jobs, and the community is very helpful. The H2O, you can use machine learning well, and is a very good interface and very helpful community. Easy to use quickly, good for many tasks. Not as good for really detailed tasks, and doesn't have everything you might need. Okay. And last one then is Altair RapidMiner, all-around tool for entire machine learning method, ideal for concepts exploration and collaboration on tremendous projects. Good for all the steps of machine learning, easy to try out ideas. So some things might be hard for beginners, cost money based on use. So you can see over the last 2 pages, it's split between tools for beginners, for novices, and then as you get more experience and the bigger projects, then you're using the hyperscaler tools. So that just gives you a flavor of the tools that can be used, and we're using in the previous example. And then now we're moving on to chatbot, Gen AI, LLM, okay? And just talk about here, what we're going to do is we're going to start off and show you the power of ChatGPT, right? Everybody knows ChatGPT, but I don't know if you're familiar how you can use it to generate smart KPIs. So what we're going to talk about here is an imaginary brainstorming session using ChatGPT, right? Between Open API and 5 expert moderators on a customer lifetime value. So we talked about customer lifetime value in the first webinar, about how to manage the customer experience over the whole lifetime journey. Okay, so what we want to do is go to ChatGPT and gain some insights and recommendations. Okay, so the 5 experts, virtual moderators, are what are called now as AI agents. Who are they, right? So first is David Ogilvy, who's an advertising marketing executive, wrote the book Confessions of an Advertising Man. And what you see here, that all these experts have wrote books. So that's how the ChatGPT was trained, based on the corpus of their work, the body of their work. Okay, so that's how you virtually get their insights. So the next person is Mary Kay, who's cosmetics and direct marketing, recognized direct selling brand of skincare and color cosmetics, and that's her book there. The next person is Mary Wells Lawrence, who's a branding innovator and copywriter, and wrote the book A Big Life. Okay. And then the next person is Kai-Fu Lee, who wrote the book of AI Superpowers in China and the Silicon Valley, who's an internet innovator and AI pioneer. And then the last is Sam Altman, OpenAI. Okay, so basically, those experts have trained the ChatGPT and become AI agent. Okay, so now what you do is let's open ChatGPT, and I'll show you the process in the next slide. But we're going to open ChatGPT, and what we're going to do here is enter the prompt. Okay, so what we're going to say to ChatGPT is imagine a brainstorming session about the future of customer relationships and the value of customer lifetime value KPI, measuring, valuing, and assessing them. Okay, this brainstorming session purpose is to come up with novel, clever, and high impact ways of better measuring and getting the greater insights from CLV. The participants of this imaginary CLV will be the 5 experts that I introduced in the previous slide. Okay, so please present a transcript of the provocative, high energy, productive exchange, and conclude by presenting the 3 most profound CLV KPI insights and recommendations. Okay, so so on the here I'm taking ChatGPT. So I paste the into the prompt here that bit of text, and ChatGPT responds. So here's an imaginary high energy brainstorming session featuring the 5 moderators, and they bring their unique expertise to explore the future of customer lifetime value. So on the next slide, what we have is you have David, Mary, and Kai-Fu Lee starting. They're inside a virtual conference room, and okay, so David starts off. Let's start by considering emotional connection and brands. Create CLVs in just about dollars. Mary gives her bit as well. Exactly, David. In my world, relationships drive value. Okay, and Mary Wells, both excellent points. So there's a dialogue going on here between the 5 moderators, and it keeps flowing like that. And at the end, what is the result? Okay, so the result here is that what you're trying to find out is the insights and recommendations. So when you're looking at CLV, which is the customer lifetime value formula, right? And you can Google search the formula, but what you want to find here is what it should include, right? So CLV from these 5 experts is that it should be dynamic emotional measure. CLV models should not just focus on what customers buy, but how they feel about the brand, and adding qualitative metrics like emotional loyalty, brand advocacy, and even customer sentiment into the CLV formula. Okay, so in the first webinar, we talked about CLV as a journey touch points, and each touch point of the journey, we could use Net Promoter Score, for example, which is an emotional KPI for how customers feel about the different stages of the journey. Okay. And then a second part is predictive experience, customer lifetime value. The future CLV lies in its ability to be predictive rather than reactive, okay? Using AI to anticipate life, events, personal preferences, and behavioral shifts, brands can offer tailored experience at key moments, okay? And then the last point is turning customers into brand advocates. Okay, CLV should focus not just on the value of the customer, through transaction, but the customer investing in creating experiences that turn the customers into passionate promoters. So if we look at the Net Promoter Score KPI, for example, that's what we want to do. We want to take detractors and turn them into promoters, thereby increasing the Net Promoter Score value. Okay. And if you saw on the previous, so once you identify your CLV formula and you factor in these recommendations, the next part then is you would use classical AI machine learning to actually use Net Promoter Score that we saw on the previous value as part of the CLV journey. And that's how we tied it to types of machine learning together. Okay, so just moving on to tools and technologies for Gen AI LLM. Okay, okay. So for generative AI is used to generate images, code, video, text, and art by interpreting and manipulating pre-existing data. So we mentioned that previously. So Gen AI is powered by large language models that are pre-trained on vast amounts of data, commonly the foundation models. So you can see on the right-hand side here, foundation models utilize self-supervised learning techniques and leverage large-scale unlabeled data at scale. For example, OpenGPT has been trained in 100 trillion parameters. Okay, but you can see here that there are other foundation models available as well, okay? And there are other key players, okay? You have OpenAI, ChatGPT, but you have the likes of Meta and Google, and you have AWS and other players who are generating their own foundation models, okay? And these models can learn complex representation of features, greatly improving the performance. Now, depending on the size of the business that you represent or you're working with, you can actually, you don't need to build up your own foundation model, okay? And a lot of people basically take existing foundation models and then they take that which is tuned and then they do fine tuning on top of that for tuning it and contextualizing it and fine tuning it, the pre-trained model based on their business. And that's the next level, which is prompt engineering and fine tuning. Okay, so there's a lot of terminology that I covered here today. I mean, if you feel that you want more information or deep dive in any section, just reach out to Marcelo or Helene, and we can set up more private one-on-one consultations and future webinars. Okay, and okay, so the next page, just some references about the topics that we. So the first one is short, medium, long-term trends of generative AI. So a white paper that I wrote last year is available here. You can scan the QR code. AI and business strategy reference, some references here, and then in the last webinar, when we talk about the framework, we will talk about EU AI Act references as well. And okay, references there. And that leads us on then, Marcelo, to Q&A.
Yes, excellent, Morgan. Great webinar. Thank you very much. And I hope everyone enjoyed the webinar as much as I did. And now we reach the Q&A session. So we should have a few questions already here. Let me check. So, okay, we have a first one. Let me read that for you, Morgan. So, how would one go from the Gen AI insights and recommendations for CLV formula to the next step of creating a smart KPI? The interesting question.
Yeah, and that leads on to what I was saying earlier. It's a very good question. Basically, okay, so you gain the insights for the CLV formula, and then you want to break that down, that CLV formula, and there's going to be smart KPIs as part of that formula. So it involves several strategic steps, right? So the first of all is you establish the purpose of the CLV measurement. Okay, so what's the objective? So you define why CLV is important to your organization. Is it to enhance customer retention, personalized marketing efforts, or optimize resource allocation? Okay, and then how do you integrate it to your organization? Connect CLV with overarching business strategies like emotional engagement, right? Net promoter score, customer satisfaction. Traditional, you're probably using net promoter score and customer satisfaction already, and how you integrate that with the CLV formula. Okay, so then you have to identify core variables for revenue, cost factors, emotional metrics, net promoter score, CSAT, sentiment analysis, and leverage Gen AI for emotional insights and tie the two together. That would be where you would start. Okay. And if people want to dig deeper, then you can reach out to Marcelo or Helene, and we can do future one-on-one consultations about that.
All right. Very good. Let me see. Question number 2. What tools do you recommend for this work in creating this smart KPI, data collection, and AI integration? What open source tool could I use to visualize it?
That's a very good question. Yeah.
Yep, indeed.
So here for data collection and AI integration, for data sources for like CRM, transactional data, marketing platforms, and sentiment analysis tools, you have tools like Google Cloud, Azure Machine Learning that I referred to earlier, or TensorFlow for predictive modeling, and then to visualize the tools. I mean, we have tools like Metabase, Grafana. It's an open source tool that's very good for real-time monitoring. Redash, Jupyter Notebooks, Kibana, for example. Yeah.
All right. Quite a good range of choices, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Very good. Question number 3. If you use two AI models independently in order to make the same KPI predictions, then how do you compare their results based on the accuracy of their training or validation sets?
Very good question. Yeah. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah.
So to compare the results of two AI models independently, that's predicting the same KPI based on accuracy of the training set of validation sets, I suppose briefly, because this is a very complicated question and would require a webinar in itself. So the first one is to ensure comparable validation data sets, right? Look for consistency between the data sets for both models. There's a term called avoid leakage, ensure that the validation set does not overlap with a training set for either model. Evaluate model predictions, analyze training validation accuracy, and compare prediction performance. We have metrics like, because you're looking at the error of both formulas, right? So you're like, you have mean squared error, root mean squared error, to compare both of them, do some error analysis, okay? Statistical comparison, cross-validation. So for example, we take two models. All right, so suppose you predict the KPI with regression, right? Regression, which is most straightforward, and validation metrics are as follows. So the metric model of A would have a mean squared error of 3.2, for example, and model B 2.9. But then you have root mean square error and then R squared. So anybody who's familiar with linear regression, which is if you take 2 points and they put a straight line, you're trying to measure the deviance for that line, and then you'd use parameters like that. So without going into further detail, that's how you compare the two models. You basically look at the metrics are like mean squared error, root mean squared error, to compare both models to see which one is more accurate. Yeah.
Perhaps related question. Do you need one or more than one data scientist to help on that?
Yeah, this is where you need a data scientist and then a machine learning expert, because when you select the model and then you tune the model and then you're looking at the accuracy of the model. So at least you're talking about that's where you're starting off with. Yeah.
All right. Let me see if we have more questions. No, that's it, Morgan. We had just 3 questions. So let's look into the next webinar then. We have the coming webinar number 4 on January 30th at usual time. Please stay tuned on LinkedIn. We'll send invitations over there. And also to most of you, we'll send via email as well. All right. I wanted to take a little bit of our time here to share the launch of Scaline Capital Second Knowledge platform. It is a consultancy as a service platform. We are very proud and excited to launch this solution to the market. It was launched last December, and it works in tiers. So designed to support the level of challenge you or your company is facing. So the Second Knowledge platform is a sponsor to these webinars, and also the AI research lab contents that we share. So to join, one easy way is to just go to LinkedIn group. I will share the QR code later in the next slide. So you just search for us over there, the Second Knowledge platform group. It's free, and you can then start enjoying the contents we share over there. There is then the subscription model designed for professionals to provide expert guidance and one-to-one consultancy and insights and access to reports and webinars like this one. And you have in all tiers, in all packages we offer, we have access to only to the senior consultants of Scaline Capital. Okay. The following subscription package is the executive one designed for C-suite leaders to provide strategic guidance, strategic marketing consultation. We have also the AI Lab consultancy program, which is inspired in this webinar, for instance. And the next one is the business level, designed for small mid enterprises with a higher level of challenges and objectives than the executive one. And on top of, we have the enterprise subscription model, which is usually supporting large multinationals and enterprises with programs extending 1-2 years in very strategic planning. So this is a platform that we are launching to the market, and we will be very happy if you would like to have a look. You're looking for consultancy, including for developing AI, adopting AI into your business. We are happy to have a catch up with you and then support and analyze which one is the best subscription for you. Right? Okay. So this is the ways you can reach out to us easily. This QR code, I invite you to grab your mobile phone, scan the QR code. This is a quick way to join us over LinkedIn, the SEC Knowledge Sharing Group over there. Just scan the code, click join, and there you are. Or wanted to have access to the previous webinars recording or access to the public domain AI Research Lab reports, just reach out to us on our website or on our email. Okay. I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. This was the webinar number 3. And down here is just a reminder, we're going to have the AI webinar number 4 coming very soon, late this month on January 3rd. Okay, thank you very much, and I hope I'll see you there.
In the heart of the city where dreams are made, Scaling Capital shows the way, I'm afraid. Driving growth and profit, it's no easy feat. With innovation at play, they'll never be beat. From the boardroom talks to the digital age, transforming strategies, turning a new page. Success built sustainably with care and flair. Every business flourish handled with such care. From the boardroom talks to the digital age, transforming strategies, turning a new page. Success built sustainably with care and flair. Every business flourish handled with such care. Sky's the limit, like the stars in the night. With the KPIs, the future is bright. All your goals, they'll help you achieve. In the world of business, you won't believe. Profit margins rising with a steady hand, turning dreams into futures as they planned. Consulting with wisdom, modern and wise. Every challenge tackled with sparkling eyes. When innovation meets endless possibilities, Scale redefines your company's reality. With tech-savvy solutions, they pave the way for a brighter tomorrow. Today's the day. Sky's the limit, like the stars in the night. With the KPIs, the future is bright. All your goals, they'll help you achieve. In the world of business, you won't believe.